So when Prashant Kishore made a statement saying that he thinks Mr. Modi is ahead, it really appears he's getting some data. After all, don't forget he's been part of the political consulting world. Maybe he is getting some raw data. Yogendra ji is a veteran. Can we deny that? Absolutely not. I was a little taken aback by two things that Prashant mentioned. And I have a lot of respect for both these gentlemen. They have an exceptional track record with some blemishes, which Prashant strangely did not seem to admit. But, it's okay. We all make mistakes. We are not perfect. There's no God here. Tell me one guy, whether it's a Tendulkar or Roger Federer, who will lose. I'll be more than happy to kind of quit politics. But here is the fundamental point. He mentioned that Modi ji's brand is diminishing or is definitely dipped, but the BJP is going to do well. I find that inherently flawed argument because it's very straightforward, right? There is no BJP ki guarantee, it's Modi ki guarantee. The political party has literally subjugated itself before the powers of the man who believes he's not got any biological origins. So I think we need to understand here that Mr. Modi is bigger than the BJP. So if Mr. Modi's whatever parameters Prashant talked about, certain analytics on Google and, dipping views on YouTube, that also may not be an exhaustive way to decide that. But yes, there is no denying that Mr. Modi's speeches tell you that he's pretty much going southwards. How far down south, we'll discover on June 4th. But for Prashant to say that, BJP will do well despite Mr. Modi struggling, seemed to be a bit of I would say, a fallacious argument. I want to use a strong term there. You can justify it by saying that, hang on, the opposition is not seen as an alternative. So people feel Mr. Modi is not as popular, but they still feel that the BJP is a better bet. You can argue these out rationally, but technically it didn't seem like a sound argument. Secondly, Prashant just made a sweeping statement. It will be 303 or maybe more. Yogendra's argument, why I have found it, not just because I have similar thoughts, is that end of day, if you look at the larger space of how elections have gone so far, there is no denying that in Maharashtra, the Mahayuti is headed for a pretty adverse knockout punch. In Karnataka, the Congress is back with a significant upside. It could be back with a bang, according to many. Even Mr. Siddaramaiah is honest enough to say it will be at least a minimum of 15. Now, even if you give one or two away and take a conservative estimate, the BJP is losing seats in Maharashtra and Karnataka, which will add up to big numbers. Haryana, Rajasthan, I can tell you in Chhattisgarh, which Sachin Pilot has handled for the Congress, there will be setbacks for the BJP. Even in Gujarat, there could be minor setbacks. Uttar Pradesh is up for grabs. Nobody in their world can feel today that the BJP is on that rail road, kind of completely going as a juggernaut and crushing anybody in its path. So the logic is that this is what I argued in an article I wrote for The Wire, that the BJP will come down to below 272 looks assured. And I think if the India Alliance's performance is taken together, the BJP could be down to 220, 225, any of these numbers that a lot of people are speculating. So let me stop here, take some more of your questions, and then we'll probably expand on it.
No, my point is, I spoke to both. In fact, like I said, Prashant refused to come to my show, but Yogendra did day before yesterday. I asked him whether there is any empirical tool that one uses before one gives you a figure. 270, 240, 220, 210, whatever. Or is it just,
Instinct.
Get 220, instinctively, get 220. We do that. We call it make shit up. We do that in advertising, So we say 40% market share, 20% market share. Anyway, coming back to the point, you see, somewhere down the line, my question, Sanjay, still remains that how are two professionals, forget two, there are a bunch of professionals this side and that side. So let's not talk about just two people. How are they putting their entire career on the line? Is there something that India is missing, Sanjay? Is there something that we are missing? Is there some logic to the fact that somebody is saying it's just 220? Or is there some logic that we are missing out and maybe it's 370 and we are not seeing it? Is there something India is missing out?
Sudhir, I don't think we are missing anything at all. Basically, the fact that Prashant believes the BJP is getting 303 plus, and Yogendraji believes is going to be around 220 or 230, and even I think there are other people who have said it could be below 220. It basically tells you that it's a minefield. Predicting an Indian election is a treacherous terrain. And why this has become particularly intriguing is because there is no wave in this election for any particular side. But let me put a caveat there. If there is no wave in favor of the government in power, it normally assumes an anti-incumbency wave as well. Please remember that voters are not 50% indifferent and 50% for. There is always some degree of variation, what may not be perceptible, but that is what we call as the undercurrent. So if there is no, think about it, in 2019, the Pulwama Balakot factor pumped up the BJP votes, and it's again something that we can debate for what the percentage was, but it is safe to assume it could be anywhere in the range of 3 to maybe 5% that went up for the BJP, which has large repercussions on the final aggregate number. Pay attention to one point. Last elections were fought by the BJP on a very emotive subject. You remember Wing Commander Abhinandan being captured
Yes.
by Pakistan, the release, the camera, the tension. And then we talk about the Balakot strike, Mr. Modi talking about ghar mein ghus ghus ke marenge. And the entire campaign of the BJP was fought on national security. It was all about that big, muscular, hyper, ultra nationalism. Despite that, Sujit, the BJP retained its vote shares, but its seats went up from 282 to 303. It's not a significant bump in terms of seats. It went up by 21 seats on such a emotive, patriotic, nationalistic subject. The BJP did not really go up in seats. So I'm going to make an assumption on your program that the BJP capped at 303 because I don't agree with Prashant Kishore for that very reason. If Prashant himself agrees that there is no wave and there is no emotive subject to create that passion in voters to come out and vote, the voting turnouts increased last time. How can anybody assume the BJP is getting the same number of seats? And in the last 5 years, you have had the electoral bond scam, which has been like horrific. Crony capitalism, corruption, criminality. You've seen farmers yet protesting, record unemployment. You've seen, for example, the BJP being literally called a washing machine, the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal. Now, these are triggers, right, that have happened in the last couple of months. Now pay attention to one point, Sujit. Mr. Modi made the statement of 370 and 400 and all that stuff just after the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. He believed, and the BJP believed, and I remember going on many mainstream TV channels, they thought the election was done and dusted. They felt that this was the moment, what they felt was the emotive moment. The majority population in this country feeling a historical grievance has been now covered or neutralized, and we have avenged that injustice, is now going to vote in a big way. Yes, people were emotionally gratified. Yes, people were happy there was a temper. But I felt the bread and butter issues came significantly into play. And it is the arrogance of the BJP believing this election is over. Mr. Modi saying, hat-trick to ho chuka hai. Right? I think the voter went back to the drawing board to say, really, kaise ho chuka hai? That's one. Number two, because of the arrogance, the BJP went after the opposition. They froze Congress bank accounts. They didn't care. Right? They told the SBI, don't disclose the electoral bond details. They arrested Arvind Kejriwal while taking money on electoral bonds from the same person who accused Arvind Kejriwal. I think the people of India saw through it rather quickly. And if you notice, politics, I can tell you from my experience, Sujit, politics is about momentum, is the raftar. If the momentum is with you, you keep winning, whether you're doing great or not, doesn't really matter. And if the momentum goes against you, no matter what you do, it's hard to catch up. Ask me, I've been part of this story in 2014-19. We tried as hard as we could, but we knew we were climbing a mountain. I think the reason why Prashant said what he said, I don't know what his personal, manifestations were, but it probably did, or the BJP will take some kind of comfort that a well-known political advisor believes that it's in front. But I, for the life of me, can't fathom why Prashant was so emphatic. He wasn't even trying to be nebulous or vague about it. He, in fact, sounded like this is a done and dusted election. He's since tweeted in a very uncharacteristic way that, keep the glass of water ready on June 4th. But, I will not get into that hyperbole or that rhetoric. The truth is the last two phases, if the momentum has been with the India Alliance, my prediction today is the last two phases where the BJP has a lot at stake. It's the India Alliance that stands to gain.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.